Hello, happy Friday! We made it to Friday. This is Thoughts from a Dizzy Dude. I'm the Dizzy Dude, Adam Tilted. You can follow me on all the socials at Adam Tilted. I'm also online as Your Dizzy Dude. That's more of my goof off account. So if you want to see a lighter side of my personality, you can follow me there as well. So how you doing? How you doing? I want to hear from you all. I'm still getting used to the Twitch platform. I realize there's not a way to leave comments after the live broadcast, but you can also always contact me on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok. I'd love to hear from you and hear what you think about the shows and what you want to see in the future, or what you think I can do better. I'm still working on my lighting situation. It's not terrible. It's not great. I've got a little bit of natural light happening, but yeah, I don't know. Still working on it. And I'm also still working on the microphone. I'm gonna have to listen to this back and see how that is. All right, so today I want to talk about the Voyager spacecraft and the whole program to explore the outer solar system. And again, this starts with JPL, which we've been talking about this week. So in the 60s, planetary scientists realized that there was going to be a rare alignment of the planets in the outer solar system. Hey, Brittany. So I want to show you what they were looking at. Let me switch over. Hold on. Un momento, por favor. Oh, wait. Before we get into that, what you see in the background today is the image of the day. This is an image taken from the International Space Station. And it is overlooking South Africa. I'll just hide myself for a minute. So it's overlooking, I'm not South Africa, sorry. The northern coast of Africa is at the south. Words are hard. Let me try that again. At the bottom of the picture is the northern coast of Africa. The Mediterranean Sea is there, and then you can see the the southern coast of Europe. Wow. That was a lot harder to say than I thought it was going to be. We're just going to go with it. We're just going to go with it. All right, but here's what I wanted to show you. See, this tiny little... can you see my mouse? No, you can't see my mouse. Oh, wait. Okay, there you can. You can see it now. All right, so look at the atmosphere. How thin it looks compared to the Earth. I mean, just that little bit of atmosphere is what makes life possible. Pretty amazing, huh? All right, so that's NASA's image of the day. Okay, so this isn't what I wanted. Okay, here we go. All right, so back in the late 60s, the planetary scientists realized that there was a unique opportunity coming up where all of the outer planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, even Pluto, would be on the same side of the sun. So let's just skip back a bit. All right, so 1974. Okay, so we can see that this is the outer solar system we want to take a look at. And Jupiter is here, Saturn is here, Uranus is there. There's even further out, Neptune and Pluto. So as I move this ahead, you can see how this presents a unique opportunity for sending a spacecraft to visit. Let me zoom out just a little bit. I don't like how that's on the way. Can't see. Okay. All right, so here we go. So Jupiter is going to swing around here and catch up to Saturn, right? So you could slingshot from Jupiter. You could slingshot from Jupiter to Saturn, get into Saturn. Saturn's coming around, and it's getting close to Uranus. So now you can like skip up to Uranus. Neptune is right there in line, and there's Pluto. So this alignment only happens about 176 years, and it was a great opportunity to see all of these outer planets, which had never been visited. We knew very little about them. What we did know, we knew from, telescopes on Earth, and there's only so much you can see from Earth that far away. Remember, Saturn is 10 times as far from the sun as we are. So that's just a long distance, and it makes exploring those objects really challenging because you have to build spacecraft that can travel all that way and then operate somewhat independently. So scientists realized this was going to happen. We didn't want to miss this opportunity, so they came up with this concept of the Grand Tour. They designed spacecraft that would be autonomous, self-repairing, carry a wide array of scientific instruments. They would use the gravity of the planets to help them explore the next one. And it was really exciting. And so this was in the 1970s. Well, something was about to happen to NASA and JPL that was going to really threaten planetary exploration, and that was the space shuttle. The space shuttle program, I'm an 80s kid. I have a soft spot in my heart for the shuttle, but the space shuttle program really did threaten planetary science because it was an expensive and complicated program, and JPL really, that wasn't really their thing. And it could only go to Earth orbit. So if you were going to launch missions to Jupiter, you would have to bring it up in the space shuttle and then have another rocket. It was not good. It was not good. So there were these competing priorities now. The Grand Tour actually got canceled at first. It was deemed too expensive, and Congress and the president wanted the resources to go towards developing the space shuttle program. And a lot of this was driven by geopolitical events happening during the 70s and 80s. And not by science or engineering, which is frustrating, but that's how it goes. So JPL and NASA had this conflict because this was a really seriously a once in two lifetime opportunities to get all of these planets at once with one spacecraft, or two spacecraft in this case. So they went back to the drawing board. They designed a different, more simpler, cheaper spacecraft that they would send only to Jupiter and Saturn. Wink, wink. Because what really, they still intended to go to Uranus and Neptune. They just didn't talk about it anymore because that made it sound too ambitious for what Congress was willing to let them do. So they built the Jupiter Saturn Explorer or something it was called briefly, and then they changed the name to Voyager. But secretly, the engineers that were building this spacecraft, they were making design changes that would ensure that the spacecraft would be able to go to Uranus and Neptune and that we would be able to get data. They just didn't tell anybody. Now, they were able to justify this as redundancy, which was a valid reason, because if you're sending a spacecraft billions of miles away, then you need it to be able to have a backup if something breaks. So they were able to get a lot of the design features that they needed for this grand tour into this Jupiter Saturn mission. Just in case we got there and decided, let's go on to Uranus. Since we're already here, let's go on. So it turns out that they were right. Okay, so they got that approved. They renamed it Voyager, and it had problems right off the bat. So Voyager, there's Voyager 1 and Voyager 2. Voyager 2 launched first, which sounds weird, but it had a less efficient trajectory, and it would be the second to arrive at Jupiter. When it launched, the computer on the spacecraft, it went crazy. Oh, thanks. Jake just farted and walked off. Whew. All right. So the computer on the spacecraft was like, what's happening? Because the launch vehicle rolled while it was launching, and the Voyager spacecraft knew that it would never do that. So something must be wrong. The sensors must be off. And so it shut this one down and went to the backup and turned this one on and rebooted and it went through everything and checked every single thing. And during all that time, Mission Control was like, what's happening? It was like the computer on board just went berserk, and they didn't know what was happening. They couldn't get it to stop. What? But once it got up there, it went through all of its things and reset everything, and it was like, okay, I'm good. Only problem was it had started to tumble, so it couldn't really. It was supposed to use our sun as a reference point for where to go. But the solar detector wasn't pointed in the right direction, and Mission Control had no way to point it. So, but it did acquire the sun eventually after I think a couple days, and it was able to continue on to the outer solar system. But scary start. So then Voyager 1 launched, I don't know, a little while later. We'll look at the timeline in a minute. And it had a problem too, but this time it wasn't the computer on the spacecraft. It was the launch vehicle itself. The first stage didn't quite do its job. It didn't get it up enough. So the second stage that was supposed to the first stage gets it like up out of the gravity well of Earth, and then the second stage points it in the right direction and sends it on its way. Okay, so the first stage didn't quite get it there, so some of the second stage fuel had to be used to continue to get it up out of the Earth's orbit and then turn it and send it on its way. They only had 3.5 seconds of fuel left when they finally got it pointed the right direction. 3.5 seconds. I mean, I just cannot imagine being anybody sitting there, like, because, you know, they worked like years and years on this thing and billions of dollars, and just for it to run out of fuel at that point and just like go off into some random direction, that would have been terrible. Okay, let's take a look at I want to show you this quick little video of the Voyager. Oh no. Okay, so this video was put out by JPL and just kind of talks about the spirit behind the Voyager missions.
We knew we were on a journey of discovery when we launched the Voyager spacecraft, but we had no idea how much there was to discover.
We had a sense that we knew what it felt like to be Magellan or Columbus.
Time after time, we're surprised by seeing things that we had not expected or even imagined. Volcanoes erupting from a moon isle.
Okay, this was key. At this, we did not know there were any other active volcanoes in the entire solar system besides what was on Earth. So, on a moon around Jupiter? Crazy!
The possibility of a liquid water ocean under the icy crust of Europa. Titan.
Again, water, liquid water, way out there.
We found an atmosphere. Uranus, small moon Miranda, which had one of the most complex geologic surfaces we've seen. Even at Neptune, Triton, 40 degrees above absolute zero, even there were geysers erupting.
It's the only spacecraft that's gone by Uranus. It's the only spacecraft that's gone by Neptune. Everything we know about those planets, we know from Voyager.
To see those first pictures coming in from the outer solar system, for the first time, what had been a point of light in the sky was a place.
I really credit the people that designed the mission, both the engineers and the mission planners and scientists, because not only did they build an extremely robust, durable spacecraft, but they had the vision to send it on a path such that it could get out into interstellar space and carry a gold record.
And here was this Noah's Ark of human culture that was being sent to the outer planets and then beyond to wander in the interstellar darkness for 1 billion years.
Hello from the children of planet Earth.
On Valentine's Day, 1990, Voyager 1 looked homeward, and what did it find? Not the frame-filling Apollo Earth, but instead that 1 pixel Earth. That's here. That's home.
The Voyager spacecraft are in the outer layer of the heliosphere, the giant bubble the sun creates around itself with its supersonic wind. Voyager today is headed for the edge of interstellar space. That's the space between stars, and it's filled with material that has been injected by the explosion of stars, matter which...
Did you catch that? Space is not empty. He said space is filled. That's a misconception that space is empty. It's not. It is filled with particles. Now the density is not that great, but there's all kinds of stuff in there. So our solar system is like, it's literally a bubble that the sun creates this bubble in the interstellar space that's filled with stuff, that, the sun, pressure from the sun pushes out a bubble that contains our entire solar system. So we live in a bubble, and inside that bubble we live in our own little bubble on Earth that's surrounded by this atmosphere that protects us from the radiation from the sun. It's like Russian dolls, like inside, like just one inside of the other. It makes you wonder, like, what's outside of the galaxy, like what's in between galaxy. Anyway, we'll continue.
Came from a particular direction, creating a wind which has shaped the bubble in which the solar system is surrounded. Voyager really has changed our view of the solar system. This will be a milestone in space exploration, leaving the solar system, leaving the bubble, and entering interstellar space for the first time.
So, I thought that video did a really good job of conveying this bubble idea. I don't think it's something that a lot of us really think about when we think about space, but it is literally bubbles inside of bubbles inside of bubbles. All right, so if you have any questions, by the way, as I'm going through this, be sure to drop them in the comments. I am seeing the comments. Thank you so much. All right, we're getting on almost half an hour, so I don't want to keep you too long, but I did want to show you the timeline of Voyager. Where did that go? No. Yeah, here we go. Mission timeline. Switch it so you can see. How about that? Okay, so here's the mission timeline. We got this. We realize we have this once in a lifetime. Got this once in a lifetime alignment. They realized this in the summer of 1965, and so here was the plan. They realized if they launched in the late 70s, they would be able to get out there in time to catch this alignment. So you can see looping around to Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Now, here's an interesting fact. Voyager 1 got to Jupiter first, and they had sent another. The Pioneer spacecraft had been sent a flyby of Jupiter, and it had detected a very, very big radiation problem there. So the Voyager team, they were a little nervous about that because the intense radiation can fry the electronics on the spacecraft. So they sent Voyager 1 through the radiation to see if it would work. And if it didn't work, then they would have Voyager 2 come back. But if it didn't work, that meant that Voyager 2 would not be able to go to see Uranus and Neptune, because one of the main science objectives on this entire mission was to observe Saturn's moon Titan. So if Voyager 2 was needed to see, like, if Voyager 1 got messed up by the radiation, they would have sent Voyager 2 onto Saturn, and we wouldn't have seen Uranus and Neptune. I thought that was interesting. Even back then, they knew Titan was a place of big interest, and it still is. All right. Okay, so they start the project, and as you can see here, it was originally called Mariner, Jupiter, Saturn, 1977. I like Voyager better. First science meeting at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. This was in 1973. They officially changed the name to Voyager in 1977, March. And then we've got the launches in August 20th of 1977 for Voyager 2. And then September 5th, so a few weeks later. Here is a view of Earth and the Moon from Voyager 1 as it is leaving the Earth-Moon system. Now look at that. That is really... Let me see if I can zoom in on that for you, because this picture is pretty freaking cool. So, not only can we see the Earth and the Moon here, but we're on the backside. We, being the Voyager spacecraft, like our point of view here is looking at the back of the Earth and the back of the Moon at the same time. We're completely out of the Earth-Moon system. I mean, we've seen, like, from the space station, you can see the back of the nighttime side of the Earth, and from the Earth, we can see the nighttime side of the Moon, but we've never been able to see them both at the same time until Voyager. So, yeah, I thought that was cool. All right, Voyager 1 encounters Jupiter. These stop frame animations, or what's the other word for it? Yeah, it'll come to me in a minute. Anyway, these animations were hugely popular, and the director of JPL, Bruce Murray, understood the importance of engaging the public with the missions. Otherwise, you know, he knew that it was going to be public perception and public support for planetary exploration that was going to make it possible. Politics was not going to be able to do that. So he was a huge proponent of engaging the public and making the science user-friendly and, like, really showing off the coolness. Time-lapse. Thank you, Brittany. Time-lapse. There we go. Yeah, so it made these images, like, these are so cool. And they turned out to serve I mean, they knew this going in, but they also serve a scientific purpose as well, because you're looking at the same spot over a period of time, and you can see, like, what are these storms doing? And, you know, like, what is this band flow interacting with the other band flow? And some of the animations are really awesome. Incidentally, if you want to check it out, you can go to their website here. It's at voyager.jpl.nasa.gov, or you can go to jpl.nasa.gov and look in the galleries. Maybe one day, one stream, we'll come look at the animations, because I love these. I think these are amazing. Movies from the outer solar system. 1979, too. So, does it say how far it was at this point? It doesn't. Far. Okay, so Voyager 2. encountered Jupiter. So Voyager 2 knew that Jupiter's radiation was going to be tolerable. So it was able to check out a lot of the moons. We discovered Io has volcanoes on it. We didn't know that before. Voyager 1 gets to Saturn in 1980. Now, I remember when I was a kid, I'm an 80s kid. I remember going to the planetarium and seeing NASA's presentation on the Voyager mission and seeing these images. And I was probably about, I don't know, maybe 10 years old at the time. It blew my effing mind. Still does to this day. I mean, look at this image of Saturn. That's a real image. That is a real image. A robot spaceship took that image and sent it back to us on Earth. I mean, I'm just enthralled. So as you can, this is I think this must be infrared. What is this? Okay, it doesn't say about this, but you know, they have a lot of different instruments on the spacecraft, which I realize I'm not going to have time to go into today. I could go on for hours, but I don't think you guys would really want that. But I know it does almost look fake, right? But it's not. It's not. I don't care what people on the internet tell you, it's not. That's what's really cool about having a backyard telescope and looking at Saturn or Jupiter. Because even with a moderately priced telescope, you can get a telescope for like $100. Go out to a dark place, point it at Jupiter, you can see the bands on there. Pointing at Saturn, you can see the rings. You can, with your own eyes. And then we get images like this, which, I mean, they use, you know, different wavelengths of light from X-ray to infrared, ultraviolet, to like see the details of what's going on here. All right, so because Voyager 1 did its job, Voyager 2 was able to head on to Uranus. This was the first time in 1986, the first time that any spacecraft had visited Uranus. And they discovered 11 new moons. They discovered that Uranus has rings, and that it's tilted. Its magnetic poles are tilted, so it kind of rolls on its side rather than spins on its axis, which is weird. The Deep Space Network was completed in 1987, and this is a series of giant antenna, spread out all the way around the world to be able to receive the data from these spacecraft. JPL had a lot more planetary missions planned that would have used this network. They were able to save some of them, but unfortunately most of them were canceled, postponed indefinitely due to the space shuttle program. So, but JPL is back. We've got rovers on Mars. That's still going strong. The Voyager mission is actually still considered a currently operating mission. Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 are still operating after all this time and so far away. I think it takes 12 minutes for the signal to reach us. Okay, we got Neptune. This was amazing. We had no idea. Neptune, from Earth, if you can even see it, it just looks like nothing. It just looks, very uniform in color. But we can see some clouds. We got a close-up view of its moon Triton, which has a very interesting surface. And then they turn the cameras off. Once they passed Uranus, it was sent on a trajectory to exit the solar system. There wasn't really going to be anything that they knew of to take pictures of. So they turned the cameras off to save as much power as they could because they wanted to continue to collect data as long as possible. So, because one of the things that they wanted to do is find out what happens when you exit the solar system. And the Voyagers were able to... It's a blueberry. I love that. Oh. Why does that not work? It's a blueberry. Okay, so what else we got here? All right, so at 4 billion miles from the sun, Voyager 1 took the last image of its mission, the Solar System Family Portrait. That's cool. Series of images that captures Venus, Earth, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune arrayed about the sun. This is part of that image. I don't have the whole image. All right, so this shows that bubble we were talking about. So in 2004, Voyager 1 crosses the shock here, which is where the solar wind encounters the interstellar wind. So it's like at the edge of the bubble. It slams into it. So it slows down abruptly and it heats up because it collides with the interstellar wind. Again, this is space, which is supposed to be empty, but it's full enough of stuff that when it smashes together, it causes a shock wave. So I gotta stop saying so. Voyager 1, Voyager 2, they're still going through what's called this helio sheath. This area where the interstellar wind and the solar wind meet, it's not like a definite border. It's very diffuse and more like a gradient. So Voyager 1 crosses the shock, Voyager 2 crosses the shock, and on August 13th, 2012, Voyager 2 became NASA's longest operating mission. Well, it doesn't say how many days. The previous mission was 12,758 days, so it's more than that. Okay, and Voyager 1, remember Voyager 1 skipped Uranus and Neptune. And I think both of them have the golden record on it. So, yeah. All right, so in 2013, we received some data that indicated that Voyager 1 was getting close to the edge of interstellar space, out of that mixing area. Yeah, exactly right, Brittany. Yeah, like when the oceans meet, or when a river meets an ocean, like there's an area of mixing. It doesn't just automatically go in. So that causes a sound, apparently a high-pitched ringing, and the ringing indicates the density of plasma surrounding Voyager 1 is more than 40 times higher than previously measured. So it's in interstellar space, and it is still sending back data, which is crazy. Voyager 2 also enters interstellar space, and we could explore and explore and explore, but I want to stop there because I think this is enough to just really think about for a little while. This was back in, what kids today would call the ancient times. There was no internet back then. There were no cell phones. But engineers designed, launched, and operated spacecraft that went all the way out of the solar system over 45 years. That's truly amazing. Truly amazing. Thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I will not be here on Monday. I have a scheduling conflict. But I will be back on Wednesday. In the meantime, be sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, pretty much everywhere but Facebook. All right. Love you guys, and don't forget to look up. No.